Today on Adversity to Strength, I'm joined by Pamela Michaux, author of Mundally Diaries, a raw and powerful memoir of survival, identity, and reclaiming your voice. Pamela's story began in the Congo, where at just 7 years old, she was sent to Belgium with the promise of safety. Instead, she endured racism, abuse, and silence with her own family. By the age of 12, she had found the courage to take her abusers to court to protect herself and her siblings, becoming the protector she never had. But her story doesn't stop in childhood. Pamela has faced betrayal, divorce, and the pain of repeating old cycles, and yet she's transformed that silence into strength. Her memoir isn't just a book, it's a revolution, a call for survivors to own their stories, break generational cycles, and find healing in truth. Pamela speaks with honesty, courage, and heart about childhood trauma, racial identity, emotional healing, and women's empowerment. This conversation will stay with you long after it ends. Welcome to the podcast, Pamela. Thanks ever so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, Lee, for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Take us back to the beginning. Where did your journey begin?
I was born in the Congo. My mother was Congolese, and I lived there till age of 7. Like you said, I was promised a better life, sent to Belgium, and there I found everything except a better life. Because in the Congo, we have more the community where you have the grandmother, the aunt living with you. And already my father, who I was sent to his sister, was already not a very kind and loving father. But still, I was protected because I had my grandmother and my aunts on my mother's side. So the contrast between Congo and Belgium was immense. Well, first of all, the weather, Africa and Belgium, and it was December. So I remember coming out of the plane and walking outside. It was cold. So that was already not only a culture shock, but also the weather. Everything was different. And you have to remember, even on my mother's side, I am a mixed child. So in Congo, I was the white child. And in Belgium, I became the black child. So identity was something from a very young age. I had to really struggle and to find my place. Because imagine within your family, one is calling you white and then they call you black. And
Yeah.
you're like, I am both. So it
Yeah.
started like that. So that's already the beginning of everything. So finding your place and where you actually belong.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially from an early age. It must have been really confusing for you. It must have been really confusing. And you go from family members saying one thing, then you go to another country and somebody saying completely different. You're trying to figure out who you are.
Yes, and I think a lot of people who are mixed children, I mean, that it's black or white or even Spanish and Swedish. I mean, I'm just saying a nationality. The culture is different and the way of upbringing is different. So a lot of mixed kids, they struggle with that. And they say like, it's very hard to find my way. And it's actually build your confidence or you become actually less confident because it marks.
Yeah.
Because as kids, you already compared that you have siblings or cousins. Can't you do like your siblings? Can't you do like your cousin? You know, you should do it like this. Why don't you do it like this? So we already imprinted that we have to compare our words towards someone else. And that's an extra layer that was going on top. So, and I really believe a lot of people continue struggling with it the older we get, because the society is asking more from us, family members, or if it's work. We are already comparing ourselves from a very, very young age. Yes, that's,
I think you would think today in society it should be easier, because in general, most people really don't care. They shouldn't care. And if they do, the problem's with them. But I've had clients and even people I've spoken to still struggle with that. With myself, I didn't know who my biological father was. And then years later, I found out that it was a completely different person there. So I was trying to work out who I was. And for me, I got to a point, probably with a lot of therapy, I'm just me. And I didn't care about trying to compare myself to anyone else. I just focused on being me, the best version of myself. What about yourself? How did you get to what you settled with, or you considered yourself? Was it how did you get to where you were comfortable at? So,
For me, so I was sent, I go back to my childhood. I was sent at age of 7.
yeah,
1 year later, my brother and sister came, and my aunt and my uncle, they were always comparing me to them because my father and my told me I should call them Mama de Belgique, my Belgian mother, Papa de Belgique, her husband, and my father, my biological father, would become Papa de Zaire, so father of Africa, Zaire, Congo
yeah,
at the time. And my actual mother would be Mama de Congo. And I felt it wasn't right.
yeah,
Not, yes, I felt it wasn't right. I was abused by my father. And for me, I already understood that he wasn't the father figure. I
sure,
don't know if it really makes sense, but at age of 8, I already started to see, because in school you see parents picking up their kids,
yeah,
even though I was alone over there because he'd bring us and then he left again. So I could see fathers hugging, fathers picking up, but in a very gentle way. Even though I learned to be compared, I start myself also comparing
yeah,
because you often copy what others push towards you.
definitely,
And they try to play my sister and my brother against each other and against me. Like my sister became my uncle's favorite and my brother was my aunt's favorite. So I had to work from a very young age, from 7, and it continued till age of 12 when I took them to court. And I started saying, those people are not good people because I had the love of my mother. My mother was a very loving mother and my grandmother was very loving. So I started saying, this is wrong what they're doing. And the last time I saw my mother was at age of 10. And when she left, I overheard, because adults often, and that is very dangerous, whoever listen and they go into separation or to divorce, when you have kids, preserve your kids because your kids will be the damage of the adult that you are. But it's
yeah,
worse because kids are like a sponge. What happened with a sponge?
yeah,
You put it soaks and it grows, and kids are the same. So whatever problem or issues you have, or if you are in an abusive relationship, shield your kids from it. Walk away when you have to. If it's not for you, take the courage for your children. When you know your partner or your husband, whoever you love, has an abusive way towards the children, protect them because those scars, they will keep it for years and it takes so much. And Lee, your story,
yeah,
I mean, I read a part and your story is also, wow, I had to sit down and say like, I'm getting chills. Your story really impacted me. And that's why this conversation is so important because we both been through things and we cannot compare your pain or my pain because pain is something you can't compare. You can't say
yeah,
it's less worse what I saw with my mom or my
yeah,
father. And
yeah,
often there you have again comparing. We compare what we were used to, but your children should not go through this. You have to protect them. You have to shield them. And at
yeah,
age of 12, I said, the first time at age of 10, I said, enough. I run away. The first time I was beaten up. I mean, I had physical abuse, sexual abuse, and I said enough. And my mother, I saw her the last time. So from 7 till 10, I didn't see her. So at 10, I saw her. Then she left 2 weeks and a half after she arrived. And when I overheard them that my father was divorcing and my mother had Congolese papers. So I said, she's not coming back. My brother, 14 months younger than me, my sister, 5 years younger. I was the caretaker from age of 8. I said, I have to do something because no one is getting us out. So I run away. The police put me back there the same night. I was beaten again. And it took me 2 more years to really pull my strength and say, we can't stay like this because the abuse continue. And it went worse because whatever you go through, people will not stop until someone actually stops them.
Yeah.
They feel unpunished.
Yeah.
And writing my book example, I found out one of my abusers abused at least 36 other women. And part of them are also women of my family.
Yeah.
And some of them called me and said, Pam, thank you for writing it down and putting a voice
Yeah.
because they still see the person, shake the person's hand, but they were abused by the person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yes. And this generational abuse and repetition, if no one put a stop to it, they feel unpunished. And
Yeah.
maybe it's your children, your grandchildren, because if you just walk there and stand next to the monster, I have a word for it because it is a monster, because my
Yeah.
nightmares were coming from that person. And most of the times, things that scares you, they become your monsters. So unless someone say enough and take the courage to
Yeah.
put a stop that is physical, mentally, whatever abuse you're going through, if you don't stop, the person will continue, even worse sometimes, and will touch the people you want to protect.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Everything you're saying is totally familiar with me through personal experience, and there's like family members that hid. Stepmom would, I'm sorry, my mum would cover for my stepfather. A lot of my family members all knew, never did anything, could have protected people, never did. So I cut them all out of my life. Yeah, you have to protect the children. Your childhood is so valuable that especially as a therapist of personal experience, the effects that a bad childhood can have on somebody is it could be for the rest of their life. You could be in therapy forever. The damage that can be done, like you said, definitely. I mean, the minimum requirement for a child is unconditional endless love. And if they're not getting that, it's going to affect them, the choices that they're going to make later on in life. Yeah. One of the things that I say to clients when you've got people that are in an unhappy relationship and they'd be like, I can't leave, I've got children. And I say you leave for the children, you don't stay, because what you don't want is the children can pick up on an atmosphere with unhappy parents. And what you don't want is those children to grow up thinking that unhappy parents is normal, and for them to go and repeat that when they're older in their own relationships. So I always say you leave for the children, you don't stay. Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
for yourself, that's when you're telling me this, it sounds like you're an adult that is making these decisions. You're what, 10, 12 years of age. That's amazing strength, because there's not many kids of that age that would be thinking like that. Now myself, with everything I went through, it didn't enter my head. Yeah, I wanted to leave and escape and get away from it, but it never entered my head to do that. So the strength that you've got is, for me, is unbelievable.
That I'm gonna say also something. It wasn't for me. I left. I had younger siblings, and often, the turning point is when you want to protect. It's like a mother being beaten up. She
Yeah,
doesn't stop. I mean, she doesn't leave the partner until he starts touching the children or beating the children. And often you have that click where you protect others, but not yourself because you think you're not worthy for protection.
yeah,
And I'm sure you've seen it with some of your clients. I mean, it's a classic thing because for a very long time, I had to learn to love myself. I was
yeah,
called ugly, stupid. I mean, and in every abusive relationship or whatever you're going through, you have like ups and downs where they flatter you, you're amazing, you're in that
yes,
peak,
yeah,
and then they crush you and you're in the lowest, you are unworthy. They tear your soul apart basically, and where you feel worthless, and then they get that it's a manipulative thing to gain your trust again. Then
yeah.
they feel
Standard.
sorry, and you actually start feeling sorry for them and saying, okay, maybe it's not their fault, maybe it's my fault. And often is that because it's like people who get kidnapped. You see it even in movies. They start finding excuses for the
Stockholm
kidnappers.
syndrome. Stockholm
That's the word.
syndrome.
Yes. Yes. But you have that in every
You do.
abusive relationship.
Yeah. Because with children, they just want to be loved and protected
Mm.
by their caregivers, the people that are supposed to keep them safe. And if they don't get that, there's a few things that often happens is one, they will create a fantasy of what their parents are. So when their parents are treating them badly, the child will create a fantasy that it's their fault and it's just discipline and it's this and it's that. And the other thing that will always happen is that the child, because it's a child's mind, will sit there and come to the conclusion that it must be their fault. They're not good enough. Otherwise, their parents would have treated them like that. So they end up blaming themselves. And the problem is that they go into life thinking the same belief system that they're not good enough. And then that comes into relationships. It goes into other things there as well, all because of their parents there. And that's why a child's childhood and upbringing is so important to have stability, consistency, and safety and love. Without that, it will always affect them. So,
And
I think what you've done and to protect your younger siblings is it's amazing.
yes, and it is because my sister came to an age where my aunt basically was putting me in bars with men, and you know, and I was afraid for my sister because if I didn't do certain things, my sister will be brought up, and I didn't want her to go through certain things and suffer. So for me, it was my survival instinct that actually came, and that's why we say your instinct, it comes like animals have. If you don't have
Yeah,
a
of course,
survival
it's
instinct,
survival. Yeah.
you will not survive.
No.
For an animal, it's the same. And that's why when you have that voice in you, and it's so important, I learned it very late to actually listen more to it. I noticed that my body will talk to me before even my mind. And think about it.
Yeah.
You are somewhere, you are not feeling it right. There is something wrong. What does your body immediately? You start being tense. You know, when your
Yeah.
partner or even you start reading the walks, when someone is walking and you're like, ooh, this is giving me chills.
Yeah.
So it's already your body reacting before you actually can put words to it. And you
Fight
have,
or flight mode.
yes,
Or flight mode. Yeah.
yes, yes, because we are wired with fear, you know, and panic.
Yeah.
That, that's already in our system. So fear, you start to like, oh, okay, but what do? I stay like broken, or I take my courage. Even if I have fear, I just go for it. And I chose from age of seven to say like, okay, I was afraid to come to Belgium. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to disappoint my mother. And I accepted so many things that if I didn't make her the promise that I will do everything and that is what is dangerous. What you promise your kids or what you ask them to do, they do not make the difference between what can be bad for them and what will be good for them sometimes. Because my promise was I will do everything so my mother and my siblings could come. And then my siblings came, and I was like, okay, my mom is not here. I still have to continue doing certain things until I say, no, my mom is not coming. So my brain said, this is wrong. And I start reading people, my aunt, my uncle. So I start studying their mood. And if I, as a child, could do that, I ask any woman, any man who's going through difficulties, if the person who's supposed to love you and protect you and be your peace cannot give you that, and you feel tense and you feel stressed and you feel like you're in danger all the time, like walking on eggs shelves, like it's, you have to put your steps and like reading the room, do something about it. That
Yeah.
you have kids or not, your peace, you deserve peace. It's not whatever you've been through as a child that you don't deserve to be happy as an adult, because otherwise you're just repeating the cycle. And your past does not have to rule your future. You have to go through the pain, through the healing, but you can do it. It seems like a dark place and there is no way out. You have to find the
you,
courage because
you do.
otherwise you keep
Yeah.
repeating.
Yeah, and you, for me, when you've been through similar to yourself, myself, whatever other people have been through when it comes to sort of relatable things, you have to have that therapy. You have to work on it because it will never go away. It's a trauma. It's unresolved. And I think I had a ex-football player come on my podcast, and he was abused by his football coach, Paul Stewart, a top guy, and he really inspired me to speak out about what I'd been through. He said, and I used it as one of the clips for the episode. He said, so true, that it's not even the abuse that you go through at the time; it's what's in your head, how it affects you as an adult. You're still suffering that pain.
Afterwards.
Yeah, and it just gets worse and overwhelming. So and I really understood what he meant, and that's when you have to be brave and get therapy, get support, work on yourself to just get through everything in order to have like a nice life or as best life as you possibly can because of everything you've been put through in the past when you're a child.
And one thing that was really a shift in my healing, and healing, I don't think we completely heal from it because there is still, your body remembers. There are
Yeah,
certain things, if, it's touched the way my body reacts before even, and then I say, no, no, I'm not
yeah,
there anymore. And it's even in your sleep. It can be your partner that you are just like, don't.
yeah.
And it's because your body remembers, your body remembers even if you heal and do work on it, but it does get better. And you learn to, it's not acceptance because I will never really accept what they did because there is no justification for that.
No, there's no justification.
No, and
No,
no
no,
excuse. I've been abused. I've been beaten up. Am I going to do that to my children or to my nieces or my nephews? Forget it. Or
no.
other kids? No, because I'm breaking the cycle. I do not want to repeat what happened to me because I know how much it broke me in pieces. I had to find each piece and put it back together as a puzzle. It
Yeah,
took me years, and some I'm still working on them.
of course. Yeah, the same. And for me, I'll be there forever. My therapist, we've had these conversations and we work mainly on my trauma. And she's like, yeah, you'll be working on this forever. She said, it's irreversible because it's trauma. So it's step by step, bit by bit. But you're going in the right direction. You're better than you were before. Keep on going. That's it. It is what it is. That's frustrating. That's hard to get to that acceptance part. How did it come to this? Why did other people decide? And it is a choice to put you through this. Why did they do that?
It is, it is, and it's because they think they are unpunished in a way. And often when you start digging, you actually realize there were many more before you.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know,
Yeah.
there were
It's
others before you, and if no one stops them, there will be more after
it
you.
it will never just be you.
No, and I
Ne-
learned to own my past. That was one of the biggest healing in my healing, owning my past. Because people who hurt you, they will try to put in your head, not try, they actually put in your head that you are the problem. You
yeah.
have to be ashamed. It's your fault. But it's not. It's
No.
them protecting themselves.
Yeah.
And the only way to break the cycle is actually to put the light on it. I don't say everyone to go and write your book or go on podcast, but stop protecting who actually try to bury you
Yeah.
because those abuse, they bury you emotionally and they program you to think life and people are like that. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage to fight out and say, no, life is not like that.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't feel ashamed. I own my past. I've been through ups and downs. I had drugs, alcohol, because I tried to harm myself. I felt ashamed who I was. But I own my past now. Anyone can come to me and say, this. You know what? I own my past. I know what I've been through. And I don't want to become the victim anymore or stay the victim that I once was. Because in the end of the day, you like me, we were victims.
Yeah.
But I do not see myself as a victim anymore.
You go from victim to survivor.
Exactly. And that place I am, because the more you hide and the more you put that shame, that shame is growing because you do not put words to it. You do not cut, break the chain loose. You have invisible chain, invisible
Yeah.
prison. Call it what you want, but it is because something in you is hurting you and you don't want to talk about it out of shame, out of fear, whatever reason you have to heal, you have to own your past. You
Yeah.
only can own it.
Yeah, you for me the hardest part was accepting what I'd been put through and accepted the injustice of it. That was the hardest part. That's probably the thing that I'd struggle with the most is to accept it. I know what happened, but to actually accept this is what happened, and then because of other people that have made a choice to do that, to then know that I'm going to have to spend thousands of pounds for years in therapy just to try and overcome what other people put me through, and then try and deny it and lie and things like that to try and gaslight me
Mm.
and make me feel mad. I'm like, well, sorry, but here's all this overwhelming evidence that you're lying and you're in prison. So that was the hardest part because you're like, why did I deserve this? I didn't deserve this. And then it's just like, you know what? I was just unlucky. And that's what there is to it. It's life. So then it's for me, my mindset is let's do the things that I want to do in life. I've cut out all of the anyone that's bad in my life, anyone that's negative, they're gone for good. Surround yourself with people that are nice, kind, caring people that you want to spend time with. Do the things that you like. I become a therapist because I wanted to help other people. My attitude was I want to be there for other people because nobody was there for me. And then when I decided to do the podcast and branch out and obviously want to speak and write and that kind of thing, I wanted to do a podcast because a lot of mental health podcasts are quite boring. It's two therapists talking, and even I find it dull as a therapist. So I wanted something that's going to be interesting, people with different stories. One which I actually spoke to a lot of my clients about and said, what would you want in a mental health podcast? They all said the same. They wanted to hear somebody's story where somebody's been through adversity that they can relate to, and then how that person overcome it and feel inspired by what they did afterwards. And so that's what I wanted, and that's exactly how the podcast has turned out. And also the amount of amazing people that I've spoken to is just unbelievable. So all the good things in my life makes a massive difference, and all of that I add it all up, and every day is a good day for me no matter what. And it's a victory for me, it's a defeat for them, because all the things that they told me or tried to stop me from doing or becoming, I've gone on to exceed, and I've achieved so much more in my life than what they did together, which is not a lot in itself anyway. So I make the most of what I can in my life there as well. And I'm kind of guessing that's the same because with yourself, because everything that you seem to do is making the most of yourself, whatever that may be, and achieving everything.
Yes, and the thing is, I cut off with my family from age of 12. I went in an orphanage after I went to court. So I lived in an orphanage. So as a state child, I had one big sister, my father's first daughter, who was also abused by him. And she actually came in the 4 years that I was in that center to get me out for 10 times in total in 4 years. And she was the only rescue I had to get out of the center because you had kids that were adopted and they had issues and then sent there. So I saw many kids coming and going, and I used to stay there. But people say, oh, but orphanage is bad. But for me, it was a five-star hotel compared to what I was living at my aunt's because I wasn't beaten up. I didn't have to eat leftovers or bones, or I didn't have to steal money to feed my brother and my sister on the way to school from the market, money that I put on the
Yeah.
side. And, one thing for one person can be the worst. And for the other person, it can be a blessing. And I learned with life, you have to see which way you or the direction you want to go. And only you can know that.
Yeah.
If you are in a position that you can't help yourself immediately, start planning. No, it's the same with business. I mean, I'm a business owner now. I bought my own property and, I have employees, but they became for me my family. I have more support of my friends now than I actually had from 99% of my family that are blood. We have a saying, you can't see through water. You can see through. They say bloodline, but bloodline is what you make for me because I wasn't lucky. I mean, you in a way weren't lucky neither, and you
Sure.
have people, they very lucky with their family, very loving parents. And they come to a point where they get married, they had loving father or loving mother. They get married and I see it with my clients. I have a beauty salon and they say, oh, that's my father or my mother was so amazing because they compare and they found frustration for me might be nothing, but for them, it's immense.
Yeah.
So I learned a frustrated child is a happy adult. And let me explain with that. Because when you say it like this, it sounds bad, but actually, no. When you're a child and you get no's, what does your mind learn? That life will not give you yeses all the time.
For me.
So
Yeah.
you are actually being prepared. And with now generation, I have a 12-year-old son. And when I see some of his friends, I really feel sorry for the kids because they're getting everything from the parent, a new iPhone, a new this, a new that, but they are not understanding the value of things. Parents nowadays, it's easier to give them a tablet
Yeah.
or a phone. I'm at peace. Let's go for dinner. And you look around in a restaurant and I'm literally shocked because the communication is not there.
Yeah.
Everyone is very busy and the kids are on social
On their phone.
media, on
Yeah.
games and everything. They're losing that connection and everything become virtual. I understand this is the era where it's developed, but humanity, empathy, you do not get that through a tablet. You get that through experience,
Human
understanding,
connection. Yeah.
human connection. And we're losing that. And I'm sorry, that's why people, depression, suicide, it's getting very high because people are getting more and more isolated and alone. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see with the dating apps, you have to find a partner on dating apps. It becomes weird when you say, I met my partner in a bar, we were talking. Seriously? You don't find it scary? I'm sorry. I found it more scary to meet a person I never met from a dating app and say like, hello, here I am. So coming back to that, do everything is going so fast that we are losing the essence of what is humanity. Because in the end of the day, I am brown. I have African roots, someone can be Arab or black or whoever you are. If I need blood, it's the blood type that will make the difference. If I need a kitten, it's
Yeah.
the, you know,
Hmm.
no one will ask, was the person black? Was the person, you know, uh,
They're
no,
not going to
they
care.
don't care because no, you need to survive. We have to sit down and really understanding what is the meaning of life. And when you sit down and you have a conversation with someone, you get to know the person, but you have to be honest with yourself and you have to be honest towards the person. Can you be hurt? Definitely. But at least you tried. If the person is not on your golf, on your length, you know what you do? You withdraw.
Mhm.
You have
Yeah.
nothing to lose. But everything I've been through, I could have become a bitter person, uh,
Of course. Yeah.
very paranoia about people, about trusting. But then they won. They change who I am, and
Yeah,
I refuse that.
and that's it. That's the thing that I think a lot of people, and when they've been through what you've been through, myself, other people, it's a lifetime battle to not fall into that trap and think that everybody else is going to be the same, and you have to work hard to get the correct mindset, and it takes a lot of work, but it can be done. I'm not going to judge other people because of somebody else's actions. I'm not going to do that. How did you get out of this then? When you were like, was it 12 you managed to get out of this?
Yes, from age of 12, I went to the orphanage, and then at the age of 16, they let me independently living. So it was like a guest house, a big house. We were different girls, and then they had studios. So you learn how to live by yourself. And then at age of 17, I moved out from there and I rented a room. And then at age of 18, I got my daughter. So I had a denied pregnancy. It's where, because of all the trauma I've been through, I knew at 6 months and a half that I was pregnant of my daughter. So my body did not show anything. I had my period. So imagine I was working a lot, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. My mother just passed away and I got to a year before. I got to know that. And I just, yeah, found out at 6 months and a half that I was pregnant. So as you know, at 9 months, you should deliver. So that's very little time. And
Yeah.
my body wasn't showing anything. I was slimmer than I am now. And actually, when the doctor, I say, it can be I have my period, they say, yes, but did you go through traumas? And I actually remember sitting there and laughing. I say, which one? Because I've been through so many that I was like, pick one, you know? And actually, when my daughter was born, I was so afraid that I could not help her. My brother, they put him in juvenile because there was no space for him. So the system actually failed for him. My sister was in another center. So I had to make a choice between my siblings and my daughter. And for me, the only thing I knew was my siblings. Because for me, you know, when I mean, you're a man, but still you can understand. And when you prepare yourself to be a mother is one thing. But I was a child having a child, even though I had my siblings that I've been taking care of, it wasn't the same.
No,
So imagine 2 months and a half after I had a baby in my hands, 4 days before my 18th. And I remember sitting on the hospital bed and crying and crying, crying. I had the lady of the government who was seeing me every week, you know, until I became 18, but she kept in contact with me even after. And I say, I don't know how to do it. So I kept my daughter for 8 months and then I asked her grandmother on the father's side if she could take care of her because I went into a panic. And I had promised one thing, I will never make her go through something that I've been through.
yeah.
But the only repetition I made with her was like my mother. I wished her a better life, but she didn't go. I mean, she has her own traumas, obviously, that she kept over it of abandonment, but I couldn't at the time. And when I came back to get my daughter, the grandmother, so on my ex side, she actually, they went behind my back while they were in contact with me in front of court because I had no address. I was moving around, starting dancing. I mean, putting money on the side to get my daughter back, to give her stability. They went behind my back to court, used my childhood traumas. And I had the same judge that I had as a child. And I can't understand how the system did that. I had no one to fight with me. And when I start seeing her, they put me literally like a criminal behind with supervisor. So I had to go through all that. Then I met my ex-husband now, but my husband, I mean, we stayed 17 years together and we started taking a flat, you know, they start giving me her for moments outside that center. But they were putting so many things in my daughter's head that I will abandon her. I mean, she was 4 at the time. And I say, I don't want her to go through all this.
Yeah.
Yes. And I made a tough decision. I had to choose. And sometimes, because obviously my daughter has her resentment towards me, and I do get that. But I say, I refuse to make you go through certain
Yeah.
things because I knew the pain it was when my mother used to call from Africa and I couldn't talk to her. I know how it was, where you pick up the phone and I saw my aunt looking at me. I couldn't even speak my mother tongue anymore. And I used to look at her and being like, yes, everything is good. I am happy here, like a script. And I could feel the same pain my daughter was going through. So I decided to withdraw myself and hoping for the best that one day she will come back. That's what I did wrong. I, and that's why I say sometimes we are harder on ourselves than we
Yeah.
actually should, because sometimes we take decisions and we do certain things with what we have.
You,
I
I,
never beat her up. I never sexually abused her.
yeah.
You know, I made sure even her father, I mean, he was a drug addict at the time, but I keep an eye that she was with his mother. I was filling his fridge while he actually was keeping my daughter as capture because he said, if you don't come back with me, you will not see your daughter. And I have all these by messages. And still I kept, the respect for her, wrong, good, call it how you were, but that was what I knew. If I had to do the same now, I wouldn't have handled it the same. And that's why I say sometimes you do things in the past, you're not proud of it,
You,
but stop torturing yourself
my,
because,
I
yeah,
with whether it's like my own experiences or certainly with clients where they've made choices where they look back and they regret the choices they've made. The vast majority of people, they're making the choices because they do what they think is best, what they think is right with the options and the choices they've got in front of them. There might be two choices that they can make and neither of them's good. That's all they've got. So we can all sit back here going, well, you know what, you should have done this, you should have done that. But at that particular time, you're of a certain age, you've been through all of these things there, there's no support, you don't know what to do for the best. So you do what you think is right. It might be completely wrong, it might have been the right decision, but it's still the best of a bad choice because you haven't got anything to work with there. Yeah. So
yeah,
that's when I look at the bad choices I've made. I give myself, it's frustrating. I give myself less of a hard time now because I know what I was put through, what my belief system was in myself. I was only ever going to make bad choices. My therapist said to me, Lee, if you went back to the beginning and you went through everything you had been through, you'd still be making the same choices as you did then. I was like, okay, I get that now. But you do what you think's right, and sometimes you just don't know. But then that's where you put the work in, and you get to a point where you go, well, I can't keep going over what I've done. I can't change it. I can do the best that I can in the future now, but I can't change the past. It is what it is, you know. And for yourself, you weren't really given anything to work with, zero support, minimal. And
exactly. And then, you go into a marriage. I got family then,
yeah,
me, and I stayed longer. He had his things to work on, and I had obviously my own traumas. And the thing is, often we compare, we say, oh, but this is not that bad because you've been through so many things and you hook on something you didn't have.
oh,
If you weren't
definitely,
loved, Lee, I mean, you help people. You hook on love so much because you were lacking it
yeah.
and
That's
you
your
do
inner child.
everything.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's your inner child. That's that little boy, that little girl that never received the love. Then that inner child still searching for that love, that validation, that acceptance. And that's when you often make bad choices in relationships because it's so overwhelming that the inner child brain's going, look, there's somebody that's willing to love us. Whereas the adult part of us are going, yeah, but that person's terrible. Yeah, but don't worry about it. Let's go with that person. And that's why when you've been through traumatic experiences, you can often end up making bad choice after bad choice in relationship and repeating an abusive cycle there as well. So even then, it's still difficult. But when you've been through the lack of love and the trauma, you're going to cling to anything that looks like it could be better than what you know.
Exactly. And I mean, I learned to love myself now. As a child, I remember when I saw my sister getting hugged and my brother,
Hmm.
I was never jealous of them. And that's something, whenever you feel a resentment, put words to it. Because often, even my siblings, they think, but yeah, but Pam, you're so strong. But they don't know how many times I cried and I was alone. And until now, the adults, I love them to bits. I'm so proud of them, what they achieved as well. But they always said I was their mother until now. If there is something, I will step in
Yeah.
because I took that role. But this wasn't my role.
No.
Last year, I said, I'm not your mother. And that's why I started putting my boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's life changing. We had a moment where I didn't speak with my brother, neither my sister. And it's just like, whoa, stop. The vitamin, this is the most important vitamin for me. Do you know what that is, Lee?
Go on, you tell me.
You know vitamin C.
Of course.
D, the vitamin N is the power of saying no. And only you can produce it. And it's life changing.
Having boundaries is, I say this on a daily basis to clients, having boundaries is so important. You're not being rude. And if you don't have
No.
boundaries, you're the only one that's going to suffer. And if you've got good people around you, they will never know what your boundaries are because they're never going to test them. And I say when you give people boundaries, you're giving them two choices. You either respect what I'm putting out there as my boundaries, or you leave. There's black and white, there's no gray.
But for that, you need to know yourself. Many
Yeah.
people, they speak about boundaries, but they don't even know the
Yeah.
meaning of it. No, but I hear a lot, people saying boundaries, boundaries. Do you actually understand what boundaries are? Yes. And I ask, well, like, what are your boundaries?
And they won't know.
I really,
Yeah.
you make them thinking.
Yeah.
So if you want to start healing, start respecting yourself. Know who you are. We all have core value. It's like when you build a house, you have shelf form. You don't put the doors and the windows and say, oh, it's going to stay nice and beautiful. No, you have the structure, the base, and that's you. And people are windows. Some people are doors. Some people are sofas. Some people, you get it. So you have to know who you are. This hurts me. This I like. When they do this, I don't feel comfortable. Yet, I don't want to disappointment. I feel bad saying no. I have a client, she's 76 and she was crying last time and she told me, oh, Pam, I'm so tired. I say, but did you ever told them how you feel? Oh, but they will not understand. It's because you didn't try. And I told her, I say, if you don't put your limits, people will not have limits. And then I told her, do you know why we put a doormat in front of the door? And she laughed. I say, but can you answer me? And she's 76 and I was talking with her. And I'm not a psychologist. I told her, why do we put a doormat? But they love me because I have simplified things now. You put a doormat to leave your dirt. You clean your shoes and you rub and rub. If you do not put your limits and your boundaries, what you can accept, what you won't accept, what you will not force someone else to do because you know it hurts. If you cannot know it for yourself, what wouldn't you do to the person you love the most? If those are the things that you will not tolerate someone doing to them, start with yourself by putting these boundaries if you don't know what your boundaries are. Because we often defend others that we love more than we defend ourselves. And that is so wrong.
Yeah.
It's the same in the plane. Put your mask on before you help others. Why is that? Even your kids or who is with you.
Yeah, you have to look after yourself first. And I say to people this, it's not selfish looking out after yourself. It's not selfish putting yourself first. If you want to help other people, if you're the best version of yourself, then you're in a much better position to help other people. If you're on empty, if you're burnt out, if you're really struggling, how can you help other people when you can't help yourself? And they're like, oh, yeah,
It's
that
true.
makes sense. That makes
It's
sense.
so true. It's so true.
What happened to your aunt and uncle then? Because you took them to court.
I took them to court, but yeah, my uncle now passed away. This man actually, he beated me up so many times, Lee, and yet when I had my daughter a moment, he gave me shelter because he divorced from my aunt because he didn't know many things that was happening behind him. Because my aunt was very, I mean, she was sleeping with many men. She used to leave me in bars, put me at man's house. I mean, and he started drinking a lot. And after he beat up, you could see, he was empty, like soulless. And even to my brother, and we actually spoke about it. When you live with a person, you start copying their behavior until you break free from them. Even the nicest person, if you're with a narcissist,
Yeah.
you will get some of the traits, even unconscious, the way you will react to someone who's weaker than you. I see that many times, and you can correct me. So he passed away, and my aunt, for her, she thinks she gave the best education.
They always do.
And I am crazy. She even said to people that I was a drug addict when, and that's why I was placed in a center. So people in the village over there were hearing that I was a drug addict. And the family knew all the abuse or big part of the abuse. They never said a word.
Enough.
Obviously, yes. And for me, I'm sorry, you are not better because it can be a neighbor, it can be anyone that I hear is abusing their child or someone. I will not leave it.
No, me either.
Even my neighbor who beat his wife that I hear once, I go down and I go speak with him. I call the police. I will not allow it. So people who say nothing, for me, you actually accomplice of the person.
Yeah,
That's my opinion of it.
I agree. And like with my family, they all knew what my stepfather was like. And nobody said or did a thing. So I'll cut them all out. Um, for me, I would rather lose all my friends and family by doing the right thing. No
Yeah.
question. No question at all. Doesn't even come into it, not for a split second.
But one thing, I mean, I don't know if you notice, I'm sure, you develop an empathy or you become the same or you completely broken and then you go into drugs, drinking and everything and
I,
suicide.
I
Or
was
you,
lucky.
yeah,
I was lucky. I never did anything like that. I've like always been healthy. Never smoked, never took drugs. I've hardly ever drunk. I've never drunk, even when I was a teenager. But I just couldn't drink. It's not my thing, and it never has been. So it's like, a real small amount. So I never went into, I never felt suicidal. And I spoke to my therapist when I first started having therapy years ago, and she asked me them questions, and I said, no, I haven't. And
that's rare.
yeah, it is rare. She's first of all, she said, I'm amazed you're still alive with the stories that you've told me. I'm surprised you're still alive. But she thinks that the reason I, despite everything I went through, valued myself. She said, as they say in English, you've come from good stock. And she thinks that my biological father, who was very middle class, he was a gynecologist, he was a nice guy, successful guy. She thinks that I had at least 50% good genetics from him. And she thinks that that's what kind of like helped give me the value of myself and self-worth, that no matter what, I'm not going to go down those roads. It was never on my radar. I was never ever going to do these things. And it never entered my head to do that. I'd always go the other way, even if people were smoking, if people were taking drugs, I would just go to, it was just never my thing. Pleased about that as well. So I never had to overcome anything like that. And so I think she's right. I think that's where that probably comes from. If it was somebody that was as weak and pathetic from like my mother, then maybe. But where I had a different a biological father, then I think that that's probably the reason why. I think maybe.
I think it's also you, huh? You're giving more credit away, huh? I think
Maybe.
it's also you. I'm
I'll let you know when I
sorry.
got an answer. And with yourself, how, because you're like 18, 19, and you've just,
Yes.
it's been sheer hell for you. How did you change things, start working on your mental health, changing your life into something purposeful and overcoming everything that you've been through? How did that happen? What happened there?
Well, I got married at the age of 22, and I moved out from Belgium, and it was like I turned the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that was like, yeah, I found someone who could protect me in a way against all all the people of my family and everything, because it was 10 years. So 12, 22, 10 years. I mean, I met him at 21, 4 days after my 21. So it was very lonely in a way. You know, I was moving, traveling. I was escaping myself. And he actually gave me a anchor, you know, like a boat, like,
Yeah.
and I think also one of the reasons that I stay longer in the relationship is, yeah, I didn't want to fail. And he was divorced. He had two kids. I've been through another layer of racism because they had two kids. So I was stepmother at age of 21 of kids of 3 and 4. We had them part time. I mean, she said in school that I was the nanny, that I took away her husband while she was already remarried. So I had another layer of assault kind of abuse. And instead of stepping up, I was just giving love to the kids, meaning like being present for the kids. Because don't forget, I just had my daughter away.
Yeah.
So I was raising kids that were actually 1 year and 2 year older than my daughter.
Yeah.
And it was for me, it was like the love I could give to those kids made me heal the pain I had inside.
Yeah.
But yeah, another layer of abuse. And, you know, that's the danger with when you been abused as a child and you go through traumas. It's like you find it okayish. You normalize it.
Yeah. You normalize it.
You normalize it
Yeah.
until I had my son and I say, I do not want a life like this anymore. I want my son to be proud of me. I want my son to say, wow, mom, I'm proud of you. And he was actually the one who told me, mom, you should write a book. He's 12. Obviously, I didn't tell him everything,
Yeah.
but in the big lines that mommy wasn't as lucky. And, I told him about my daughter, that he had a sister. She refused to meet him. I say, okay, at least it's not me. It's for him and it's for both of you. Whenever you want, I will always have my door open for you. And my son told me something. Mom, you need to write your book. You need to help other people to
Yeah.
go and to be strong like you. Because if he says, you're my superhero. So, and that made me like, I say, actually, I am strong. I didn't even realize it because I had no time to be depressed. Because, I mean, I didn't have that luxury. One thing went to another, then to another and to another. When you're always on the go, you
Yeah.
do not have time to get a depression.
Oh,
Sometimes, you need to sit and say like, okay, where are I going to work it? And there is no shame because it came afterwards. My depression, I went like deep. And the only thing that was keeping me awake was my son. I say, I do not want to fail for him. It wasn't even for myself. I used to see mothers going in the washroom, hiding themselves in the movie. And I used to say, that's a bit crazy until you become a mother. You're like, wow. And a lot of people do not dare to put words into it. It's okay to not be okay. That's what I tell my clients in
yeah.
the
Of
beauty salon. Just give
course.
yourself a break.
Yeah.
We are not robots.
No.
When you cry, I didn't cry for over 15 years,
Yeah.
not one tear.
Yeah.
And crying is part of healing.
Yes, it
It
is.
means you put emotion to it. Now, if I can cry, the first time I cried, even on my mother when she passed away, I didn't leave one tear. I
Yeah.
was full of anger. So I was angry. I said, she promised. I was saving money and to get her to come. And then she passed away I turned 16 a month after. And I didn't see her 6 years after that, but 10 was the last time. I was full of anger. I hated her. My brother the same. My sister the same. And it took me over 20, 25 years to go to her grave, to take the courage. And step by step, I say, okay, I don't want to repeat pain. I don't want to have it in me. Even I used to get angry and I didn't know where it came from. But I knew that I was angry. So I was started to isolate myself. And that's why it's very important. Find a support system. Your friend shouldn't be your therapist.
No.
And yes, but often people go and tell their friend, oh, I'm unhappy and this. You are unhappy, seek for a professional, someone who can help
Always.
you. Go
Always.
to the gym, get your mind, your body, your soul, get them aligned. You can't go to therapy and then sit in the evening eating, ice cream or crisps and drinking your beer or whatever you want to do. You can do it from time to time, but your physical, your mental health, everything is aligned. Get yourself a routine. Make notes, what makes you happy. Okay, I used to have post-its, those small stickers, putting them on my
Post
bathroom.
it.
Yes. And saying, okay, go to the gym, do this, read, go for a walk, whatever you can do slowly, slowly to find yourself. Start with something, but do not pity yourself and do not feel sorry for yourself.
Exactly. Nobody
Yes.
cares.
No,
Feeling sorry for
nobody.
yourself, nobody cares. And if you go
No.
around looking for sympathy, I say this to clients, you can get all of the sympathy in the world. It's not going to make any difference to your life. You're still going to be there. What are you going to do with all the sympathy? Nothing. It doesn't last. Everyone moves on with their lives. You've got to move on with yours. So you can either stay there and be a victim, or you can go, you know what, I went through a tough time. I'm going to have to work on things probably for the rest of my life, but I'm going to be a survivor. I'm going to be the best version of what I can be. Every day is going to be a victory for me, a defeat for the people that force these things on me. And I'm going to make the most of my life. And if I can help people along the way, then brilliant. And then if you're doing that, you're going to be making a difference for yourself and other people.
I mean, look at you. You started, you help people on a daily basis. You have a podcast. You speak with people who've been through so many things.
Yeah.
And yourself, you've been through things. And I found it amazing for you to be able to say, look, I still go to my therapy and, I still speak with people. It's amazing. I mean, it's very inspiring and well done to you because
Thank you.
you interview people all the time. But I mean, I am honored to be on your podcast because you're
Oh,
very inspiring. And when I read your story and I was like, I keep repeating it, but I will keep saying it to you. Like, wow, you know, wow. And you're very inspiring. And your clients are very, very lucky to have not only you study in books, but you have the experience. And when you have the experience, you can relate and feel more because you've been through that.
it helps. And
It
when
helps a lot.
when you get a client that as a therapist, you don't specifically tell them what you've been through, but with some clients, I will say, you know, and it's easy to find out about myself now. It's pretty easy to find out, and then it's kind of
Yeah,
there.
just
And
Google
so
him. Leave
it,
you Google it.
exactly. So, it's easy enough to find out. But when a client knows that you really genuinely understand what they've been through, that makes such a difference to them, makes a positive difference because they go, this person actually understands what I've been through. They understand how I feel. They're not going to judge me or anything like that. So that makes a big difference there as well. But with the podcast, for me, the guests that I come on, like I said, before we start, I think the guests I've had on have been amazing. Their stories are all different, so varied, which is the whole point of the podcast, and what their stories can help people there as well. And it makes a difference listening to their stories and how they dealt with it and what they overcome there as well, and that helps. for me, there's so much I get from the interviews there as well, and listening to what people say, listen to the episodes. Sometimes it's a surprising episode. They're like, "Oh, I listened to that episode and it was amazing, and I got something for that." So you never know what people's going to get through. But all of the episodes have got so much in them there as well. I really appreciate your kind words. When it's myself, you just like play it down and get on with it. You never actually think about it. You just
Um,
do it. So when somebody says, "Oh, you've done it," really? You sure? Okay, all right, thanks. So, but I think having you on has been fantastic. I've loved every second of it. I love your strength, your journey, how you've overcome what you've been through has been phenomenal there as well. And with your new book that's just out, which will be in the description there, and obviously um, everything that you'll be doing was going to be on your social media there as well. But Pamela, it's been absolutely amazing for coming
Thank
on
you
the
for your
podcast.
time.
Thank you so much for coming on. Good luck
And
with.
thank you for the good work you do. And celebrate yourself more because you deserve it.
I will do my best as soon as I get a chance. I will do my
You
best.
should.
Having that break that I need.
You should. That's one thing I'm doing now. Celebrate yourself
I
and
think
don't
you do.
shove it off and send the compliment back because really, I look up to you and the work you do, and it's just amazing. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you so much.